Hello everyone, it is me, and today I'm going to be doing a quick discussion, which is essentially just a review on a book that I've just read, and which I have finished around a day ago, called Democracy the God That Failed by Hans Hermann Hoppe. So the reason why I'm deciding to do this review today is because it's a simple video I can get out, and just to have my say on the book, because this is going to be just a quick, easy review. It's not going to be extremely in-depth, but I'm just going to say my quick say on it. Essentially, I believe it was a really good book. It was a really interesting, fascinating book, to say the least. And it really is interesting, certainly for people who are more inclined to be libertarian, because essentially, if you don't know by the title, but you probably already should know, that it's a criticism against democracy. And, I think lots of, libertarian and classical liberals who are just starting out learn about the libertarian ideology and learn about classical liberalism usually are quite like direct democratic, people who believe in direct democracy. And because they just believe essentially, more freedom equals more libertarian and more economic and personal freedom. And Hans Hermann Hoppe says otherwise in this book. He says, actually, a monarchy is better than a democracy. And one of the main criticisms he says against his view that monarchies better than democracy is the fact that public spending in democracy went up much higher than it was in a monarchy. Because the main reason, because when you're under a monarchy, the monarchy itself is practically owned the state. So, like for instance, any debt the government holds, the monarchy will have to pay back essentially. Unlike when you're in democracy and the prime minister is essentially a caretaker, he can just spend as much as he wants. He's going to be gone in 4 years, so what's the point? And also the fact that kings usually have the lower time preference for what they want to do with their money and how much money they want to make. Due to the fact that they're going to be in that career for the rest of their life. Unlike when you're a president or a prime minister, you're going to be in there for like 4 years, so you're not going to care about the long term. So you're just going to spend to make yourself look good as possible. Who cares about the long term? You're going to have all the money you're going to run. So that's essentially that's essentially what most of the book is about. But that's not essentially all that the book is about. There are lots of chapters in the book, the 12 chapters. But if I'll put them in three sections, essentially there is why democracy sucks and a monarchy is better. What the alternative solution, what he believes is anarcho-capitalism, or what he likes to call it private law society, and how to get to the solution, and why classical liberalism, is not a good solution. And the reason why I say classical liberalism is not a good solution for the fact that when classical liberals say, all I want is a night watchman state, I just want the government to be a court, a police force, and a military. How does the government know what to give to how much money they should give to these services? And the fact that Hans Hermann Hoppe and lots of anarcho-capitalism themselves say, well, it's the government. They're just going to try and get as much money out of people as possible. So they're going to say that this is underfunded, this is underfunded, this is underfunded. So they can get more money from the taxpayer. And that wouldn't be criticisms. And the other reason why, because he said that, well, a defense force, they have to pay by force, is contradictory in terms. Like, I'm going to be there for your protection, but you're going to have to pay me, or I'm going to put you in prison. It's a bit contradictory. And you also believe that due to the fact that private security are going to be competing with each other for the police force, they are going to want to lower prices for the service, so prices will probably go down as well. So that's essentially the main part of the book. What parts will I have to inform me about if you want to read this book? Because I will put in the link in the description, because it is free. The book is free. You can download it on the Mises Institute. It's a really good book, like I said before. So I'll put in the link in the description of the book so you can download it. Because certainly if you are a libertarian or a classical liberal, certainly read it, because I think lots of, like I said before earlier in the video, lots of people who believe in in libertarianism and classical liberalism usually believe that the state should allow everyone to vote because more freedom for individuals, individual rights. they will certainly possibly try and consider those viewpoints. So I think that's something you certainly if you're in that category, you should certainly read. And I think even for leftists, people who are progressive on the left, you should certainly read it as well. Because not just the fact that I think it's a very entertaining book to read and very enjoyable to read, but the fact that that is in very simple writing. It's kind of more like common sense, reasoning, I would say. They do Handsome Hopper does put in the book sources, which I like, and quotes with sources at the bottom, which I do like. But you can understand where he is coming from, as well as other Hoppians when you read the book, even if you are like a Marxist, essentially. But I will say that if you think this book is going to be about explaining anarcho-capitalism, you will be mistaken. You will be mistaken. This isn't like an anarcho-capitalist manifesto. It does explain, and Hans-Hermann Hoppe does explain in the book how private security force will work in great detail, which stuff I learned before, which is stuff I didn't know beforehand, and I did learn a bit from it. So he does explain it, but he doesn't explain stuff, for instance, who's going to build the road. He doesn't explain that in the book, for at least what I can remember. So if you expect like an anarcho-capitalist manifesto, you'll be mistaken. But yeah, that's all I really have to say. What is my conclusion on the book? It's a very good book. It's a really good book, and I really enjoyed it. It's a really good book, and I think certainly if you're in, like I said before, that I'm like a broken record here. If you're in the classical liberal or libertarian category, certainly read the book. Certainly read the book, because I think it will certainly make you consider different alternatives to the libertarian movement. Because he also says, how are we going to get more people to support anarcho-capitalism? And he believes in conservatism to do that. And lots of reasons for why he believes in conservatism will be the way to get people to support more libertarian ideas. Are very, very common sense and very smart approaches. Essentially, he believes that due to democracy, people are just going to vote for short-term gratifications, for instance, a welfare state, public healthcare, etc., etc. And he believes stuff like that ruins the family. It ruins more family structures because people are not going to rely on each other more. And that means more like atomization. What lots of people criticize libertarianism for. He says, on the other hand, no, it's, like the welfare state, stuff like that. You're not going to really care as much for your family because you have people to look after you for you that are not your family. Because in traditional structures, it was a family that used to be your safety net. But with a democracy and a welfare state, now it's not the case. So usually like democracy is welfare state that leads to short-term thinking, which lead to more like druggies and drunk tards, and that's what his views are on this issue. So yeah, so that's all I have to say about the review. That's my essentially the end of the review. I think it's a really good book, and I really recommend you watch it. So anyway, that's all I have to say. And so if you have read this book beforehand, or you've finished reading a book, you want to put comments in the comments below about what you thought about the book, comment below because I want to see your opinion on it. But my opinion was really good. So anyway, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Goodbye.